a moment, guys. Thank you, everyone. And now let's transition to our next exciting panel. I would like to request Sandeep Nagpal to kindly come to the stage for our upcoming discussion. Let's delve into the crucial topic of scaling startups. Please join me in welcoming our esteemed panelists on the stage: Atul Kulshreshtha from Quintes Global, Lalit Mehta from Decimal Tech, Subhasis Mukhopadhyay from Treacle Technologies. Please give them a big round of applause, everyone. Atul is a seasoned IT and business leader with over 35 years of experience. Currently, he is the SVP for Strategic Growth and AI Solution at Quintes Global. Before joining Quintes Global, his entrepreneurial spirit also led him to establish GrowBiz Partners, a boutique professional service firm. Atul is a certified expert in various fields, including Six Sigma, account management, and artificial intelligence, making him a well rounded leader in the tech industry. One interesting fact I want to share is that Quintes Global is also a customer of Xscale for its growth and consulting services. Lalit is a successful entrepreneur with over 14 years of experience in digital transformation and no code solution. He is the driving force behind Decimal Technologies, a leading no code platform for enterprise applications in the BFSI sector. Lalit's diverse entrepreneurial background includes founding Konark Motor Cars, co-founding Sarthi.ai, and establishing the Olive Schools. Under his leadership, Decimal Technologies has become a leader in the no-code revolution, empowering businesses to innovate and automate efficiently. Subhashish is the CEO of Treacle. His expertise lies in cybersecurity with a focus on innovative solutions like deception technologies. Subhashish is an internationally recognized expert, having authored a chapter on honeypots in our cybersecurity book and receiving a Best Paper Award for his research collaborations. They recently raised their seed round from leading investors. Interestingly, Triacle is also a portfolio company of Xscale. Over to you, Sandeep.
All right. So, welcome. Uh, I hope after the lunch we can keep everybody awake. So, with that, I think it's an interesting topic. Scaling startups. I think it's in everybody's mind. I think we at Xscale potentially are also trying to play in this space and trying to make sure that we are one of the enablers in the journey of startups. So, with that, I think the every startup has to go through a journey, and each journey is unique. Although it's predictable that the challenges will be there, and it is the perseverance and the the founder's instinct. A lot of times takes the journey through, right? And for any startup, I think from the seed round to probably getting acquired or listing is the last motive. Of course, all purists will say that IPO is the ultimate motive. Um, while Indian startups have potentially in a infamous way been more into valuation game. But I think at the end of the day, listing is the last testimony of the success of our entrepreneurial journey. I hope you guys all agree with me on that. With that, let me start with a very generic question to all three of you gentlemen who have extensive experience in this. So, what are the key it's a very generic statement, but I think you guys must be looking at it from a very different angle. So, what are the key trends that you see are shaping up, especially the B2B SaaS startup ecosystem in India? So, with that, Subhasis, why don't I start with you?
Thank you, sir, for the question. First of all, I would like to thank everyone in the audience, for staying awake after the lunch session. Well, sir, I think acceptiveness, like how much your customers are accepting your solution, is something which is very important, and that is the major factor that actually works in a B2B process. Whereas in B2C, you actually have the option to rebrand yourself and then present it to the customer again. But for B2B, it's a very tough game. You once create presence of your brand once, and something goes wrong, you can't rebrand yourself again so easily. So that has to be taken care of. I think that's the most important aspect of B2B sales.
Okay. Yeah, Lalit, would you take it?
So I think if you look at B2B SaaS is facing two kinds of challenges right now. One challenge is that there are new categories of competitors which are coming up. Could be AI, could be co-pilots of the world, and could be no-code platforms. Concepts like composability and all that are taking advantage away, which is largely of speed and overall TCO. And another thing that the speed at which the overall businesses are changing, it's very like expensive and difficult for SaaS companies to keep up the same pace with the speed of businesses changing. So, the moment a company, your customers become a little sizable, uh, they outgrow the product, and then they would want to move to kind of a platform or a custom stuff. So, I think these are two broad challenges, at least that I see for SaaS, B2B SaaS companies.
Awesome. Okay. Atul?
I can add something. So first of all, thanks Xscale. Thank you for inviting me. Um, so first of all, Quintes Global is a services and solutions company, right? We have a lot of tech partners which are SaaS companies. So I will kind of respond on whatever I have understood, right? So one thing which is difficult for any customer when it comes to B2B SaaS solution is, and that's by the way true also when we were evaluating in terms of what solution we go for, right? We chose Zoho, right? But we looked at number of HubSpot, Salesforce Lite, this blah blah blah, right? The thing is, there is no one place where you can do like in Amazon. You go and you want to buy a shirt, you can look at different things, and some of them also you can do comparisons, right? So one of the things which in Quintes Global we're trying to do is to create something like that for B2B SaaS companies, right? Where you can actually match feature. I'm sure there is competition for that as well, right? But certainly for B2B clients, at least the clients which we are dealing with, right? We believe there is a value where you can do a comparison between three different solutions, and now, you can make it, you can build some marketing around it, you can build some incentives around it, but in all honesty and fairness, you should be able to rank features and functionalities. And so I think that, in my limited view, is a need of the market, right? So that's it.
Fairly said. So let me come to Subhasis. I think you are the new kid on the block with the seed
Pre-seed.
Seed fund starting in, and especially when you start from the seed fund, there are a lot of challenges, of course, right? And can you share with me a pivotal moment or any obstacle that you probably encountered early in the Treacle tech, and how did you overcome it?
To be very honest, uh, if you are starting a deep tech startup, so we are a deep tech startup. We work in a very niche area of cybersecurity, which is deception tech. And in India, there had been only one company that worked in the same area, and they got acquired in 2021 itself. So being a researcher at IIT Kanpur, I was into research, and from there, we actually built up the product. So IIT Kanpur helped us a lot in our initial stages. Whereas if I could see myself out of IIT Kanpur and building the company on my own, doing job in a private company and then starting on my own, I don't think I would have been able to raise funding so soon, because the struggles that normally an entrepreneur faces, most of them I did not face, but the ones that I actually faced is the chicken and the egg problem between funding and making a good product. Because in deep tech, if you want to make a very good product which is acceptable to everyone, and there is no margin of error, because we are working in the client's production environment. So if anything goes wrong, we can't say that we are a startup and this, that, etc. So to make such foolproof product, you need a team, and for team you need money. So that's the initial most challenge we faced when we started. That we are only three co-founders, though IIT Kanpur was putting us, but that's also limited, right? After a certain point of time, you need a proper team of at least 10-15 people to start off. And we did that very recently. Just we we got the funding, we now have a team, and we are now building something which is actually acceptable to the market.
So I have two very intriguing questions. Okay, one, I can visualize a geeky office of yours where you have 8 or 10 people with pizza boxes, having the wires, a typical geeky environment, right? So, is there a MacGyver moment in your life where you have really been?
And there has been actually multiple such moments. I clearly remember, one of the first POCs we were doing. So we did not had any documents prepared. Like we did not had a sales toolkit, proper sales toolkit. So when requirement came from the other side, we just built it up, and over the night. So like that. And also a few other moments in the technical side of things, like for example, one of our advisors told us that, oh, this is one feature you should look at, and you need to implement this very immediately, else you might be behind the competition and stuff like that. So some of these features also we built overnight, so that we are not behind the competition.
Right.
So there have been multiple such moments, though. You are absolutely right. Initially when we shifted to our IIT Kanpur office incubation space, that was actually the way you described that
Yeah,
there are
and
multiple boxes.
and what you just told me scares me of what happened yesterday.
Right.
If it was a MacGyver moment for somebody who did it, probably we got to be very careful about it, right?
Right.
So but it happens, right? It happens.
Absolutely. Also, sir, what happened yesterday could be some attack as well. No one knows.
Who knows? There are different narratives. Yeah. So before I move on to others, because we are talking about the seed round, could you tell us how did you go about doing it? What was the enablers that you had?
Uh, so one thing I would say is that since we are associated with Xscale, Xscale actually helped us a lot in positioning from where we were. So we started working with Xscale from 2023 July. And I met Anshul for the second time, in the Coffee with Xscale event last year. So that was one thing. And and what happened is that since then we had been pitching to multiple VCs, and then we got rejected from many. We even in 2022 we signed term sheet of as well, but at the end the deal did not go through due to various other reasons. So we had to leave that deal. Like money was coming in at a good valuation, but we had to leave it. So in 2023, then we started talking to our lead investor through Xscale only. So one of the biggest struggle point was to make the people understand that what the tech is about. And being a technical guy, positioning the tech along with what the market requires, along with how a finance person sees it. Because, to be very honest, in all the investment firms, there are very few people who is pure tech. Most of them are finance. They understand numbers. And for me, I used to understand tech very well. So that combination, Xscale actually played the role of a catalyst, if I can say that.
Okay, Neeraj, I don't have this thing from you, right? So no brief from you on this. Okay. So, all right. So thanks very much. And before I'll probably come back to you, but let me go to Atul first. So Atul, with Quintes Global, expanding into US market, how did you navigate the complexities of the cultural differences? Because you've been in India and an ecosystem, and now you're moving into US market, which where the cultural differences are there, regulatory differences are
Correct.
there. So can you specify some of the challenges and how did you overcome it? What was the names there?
So first of all, I have spent my career with working with global companies, right? And most of my clients, uh, at least for three-quarter of my journey, has been in US, in North America. I won't say US, North America, right? So that is one barrier which because since I'm heading the business for globally for Quintes Global, we were another colleague of mine who heads India. Uh, we had to start somewhere. We decided to start with US because 65% of the India's outsourcing business comes from US, right? So that's where we start from. In terms of challenges, I think if I were to pick a couple of them, the big one is obviously um, brand recognition, right? Quintes is, see, we always call ourselves practitioners. We are not great marketers, right? So while we have had clients in UK, in Europe, in US, in North America, in Australia, we have never really kind of because our focus was to really, and again goes back to your initial question on from seed to IPO, right? I personally believe, and I have few friends here in the crowd who will vouch that you build business slow and steady, and if you build it slow and steady and you build sustainable business, resilient business, right? You get one client, two client, keep growing the client base, build profitable business, right? Money will come to you at some point in time. People will start chasing you for money. Quintes Global is completely bootstrapped, right? And touch wood, we have a good, healthy top line, right? We are aiming to become 100 crores in the next couple of years, hopefully this year. And we are profitable and we are cash positive, right? We've had investors who have come in and we have said no, right? Our ambition is to, yes, we want to get listed on NASDAQ at some point in time, right? But I think my view is that you should look at a couple of years. There was a point in time when I used to work with multinationals and, we used to prepare 5 years strategic business plan. Now, even the investors, VCs don't look at 5 years. हमको एक साल का तो projection दे दो पहले कि क्या, where are we going to land up, right? So that's a reality, right? So now coming back to your question, I think, so one is, making sure that your brand is visible over there. Second important thing is when it comes to building the businesses, having feet on the ground, right? So while I travel every second month to US, right, we are trying to get feet on the ground. We have just opened up our Delaware entity, right? We're in the process of hiring some of the salespeople, right? So feet on the ground is extremely important, right? Because client, when they want you next day, right? Even though now you have direct flights, so 16 hours, you can be in front of the client, right? But reality is you need feet on the ground, right? Third thing, important thing is that discipline, right? When you deal with Indian clients, you tend to be little, 2 o'clock, you will log in at 2:02. Sorry, I was finishing another call and all that, right? So discipline and dealing with overseas clients, very different cultural, nuances are there, right? You have to be very, very disciplined. You have to be very clear in terms of what you're coming. And another thing which is unique about North American clients is very direct, right? They don't want a jalebi. They don't want a spaghetti of information, right? So messaging has to be loud and clear, right? Here is a problem. This is what we'll solve for. This is what it is going to cost you. This is the timeline. This is what you'll get out of it. If you're able to deliver that message, right? After that, once you've gone through that hump and you've built the, trust factor, they will be your best buddies, right? They will even, while, some of the people may not, entertain morning or evening calls, right? But once you've built a relationship, they will text you, they will, so that's really the main difference which you have to get over, right? I mean, we can't. And then the other thing is also, setting right expectations. We always, and again, I'm taking the liberty of talking on behalf of my own experience. I used to tell my team members, don't overcommit. Kal tak ho jayega, sir. We'll deliver by tomorrow, right? And then the deadline is approaching, and then I'm saying, why did you promise? If you had said that we will send it to you by Monday, heaven wouldn't have fallen. So, or they will undercommit or they will overcommit, right? So, making sure that you're setting the right set of expectation with the client, very very important. So again, just some.
Yeah, this is very interesting because in the process of proving yourself in the early stages, or even in the little bit of a later stages, you become over enthusiastic about committing, and once you do that, it's definitely a bad trap, especially for the scaling companies, because they have to deliver it consistently. Maybe one time you will be able to deliver it and do everything, but if you set those expectations every time, it is going to be an issue. So great insights. So discipline, don't overcommit, set the expectations right, do the right thing. That's great. So
and one more thing, right? US clients are also very ruthless, right? And so if you commit and you don't deliver, you're out of the door. And you've seen movies where people are asked to leave, and they carry the box, or the divorce rates, right? So the tolerance level and the patience threshold is less, right?
Okay, I probably may differ. Indian customers are also equally demanding, and they are also not ready to pay. At least US guys are ready to pay.
I agree to that point.
Okay, so Lalit, I think strategic alliances do play an important part in the growth, I believe, and I think with your experience, what are the strategic partnerships or alliances have been? What strategic partnership and alliances have been helpful in your journey as an entrepreneur and in your growth journey?
So if you look at, we are a platform, no-code platform company. So if you look at, for a company of our size, one thing that you need is reach. And for us to build that reach, it's definitely much more expensive and it's time taking. So I think we generally classify our partnerships, and we are quite significant on partnerships. So we look at our partnerships in three broad categories. One is partnership that gives us reach, which is all businesses which are quite aligned or are in the value chain, but are not. There's not much of overlap. Like we work with a lot of consulting companies. We work with all the bureaus here to make sure that the solutions are co-created, and we take those solutions to the market. So those kind of we creating a solution is kind of quite okay for a company of our size, but really taking it to the world is really difficult. So reach is one. Second is technology partnerships is something that like we work with a lot of technology partners, which really, like, from AI side, Gen AI side, which really add value to the platform. Overall value delivery for the customer is much higher. You can't build everything. And for us, like the way I was hearing Atul, that they're trying to build one platform for all SaaS companies. And so we try to become a platform which is to build any digital applications you can build on that platform. So we have to bring a lot of outside tech companies to become part of the platform. So that's second area. And for platforms like us, another very important aspect of partnership is implementation partners. So there's always a question, product versus services and all. So we started as a services company, we pivoted to become a platform company. but somewhere in the DNA, the traces of services company continue to be there. So it's very, very important for us to have uh, implementation partners who can implement on our platform. And that really kind of helps us transform from being a services company to a platform company. Because for any platform, uh, it does not get deployed without any services being delivered on top of that. So I think these three categories of partnerships and partnerships have been really worked very well for us, especially on the reach side, on the tech side. Implementation, they're yet to kind of start proving. Though we have partnerships with pretty much fairly large SIs, but I think they're yet to prove. But they've been fairly important and contributing for our business for sure.
Awesome. So, Lalit, I think you touched upon a very interesting topic about services versus product, right? And the platform. In every, my experience has been I've worked for product companies all my life, and then I've worked with a lot of startups. I have seen this trap. You know, if you can peep back into your early career when you was building products and building solutions, I have seen this trap very common that once you start creating product and you're in an early journey, you end up throwing a lot of services to the client because you want to get that business, right? And I've seen, people going in early stages, even going up to 50%, 40%, 50% of their revenue or 60% of their revenue actually starts coming from services. And then it becomes a vicious cycle because you can either be a services company or a product company and the dilemma continues to be ping pong, right? What is your opinion on that? How do, particularly the SaaS companies who are in the early stages of their career, uh, how do they come out of this trap, or what is a good balance?
So if you look at, I think one is a revenue mix, but another important thing is the fabric of the organization. I think it's a fabric of the organization which matters more than the revenue split. So that's one point. But if you look at this challenge, so when we started the firm about 14 years back, uh, we are a bootstrap company like Atul. So we are a completely bootstrap company. And for us, the only way of survival was revenue. The only way of survival was revenue. So, and product, the revenue starts after some time, until unless you have, the customer co-building with you or something. So I think until unless you got to be very clear in your mind. If you're absolutely clear that you want to build a product company, then the recipe for a product company is very different from a services company. So I think, and pivoting is not easy for sure. While all of us attempt, and it's not easy for sure. So I think the trap is that if you're very clear that you want to build a product company, then you need to learn to say no to a lot of stuff and be ready. How will you survive with that no? So until you have that means to survive with that no, you'll end up doing services because at the end of the year you have to survive. So I think your mindset needs to be absolutely clear when you start. And you need to make sure that you need the resources that are needed for the product team, for the building the product, are taken care of. Otherwise, it's a given thing. You'll end up kind of pivoting towards services, and then the vicious cycle continues. And once the fabric of the organization becomes that of a services company, then even if you start getting subscription revenue or the SaaS revenue, it's very difficult to scale up. It's very difficult. The mindset is very different.
Yeah, you're right. So I think that is a place that every SaaS company goes through, that dilemma, and at some point of time you have to make that decision. I think that's the key. So my last question to maybe Lalit, to you, is about talent, right? In the growth journey of any startup, maybe you can quickly take all three of you can quickly take a shot at it. Uh, how do you really, how critical is the talent? Of course it is for any organization because that's the only human element in the investment in a product company. But how do you cope up with this ever changing environment? Sometimes it is great resignation and sometimes it is a what do you call it, the talent recession or the promotion recession. They're calling it promotion recession these days. So how do you really cope up the resilience in the organization to take these shocks, other than the economic shocks and the other macroeconomic shocks? So how do you really make the organization more resilient, especially in the early startup days?
So if you look at the first question, I think talent is the most important thing. I think that's the most important thing from, especially the knowledge industry where we work. I think that's the thing which defines a company. Uh, and it's very very important to build the right capability. If you don't get a talent, then it's very difficult to kind of scale up, or it's very difficult to change the fabric of talent again. That's another thing which you can't do very easily. Second, coping up, the way we do it, the way at least we follow, like there's always something called pillars or inner circle. You got to protect that inner circle. You got to make sure that your entire organization is not impacted by every move in the macro market. So at least there needs to be a, you call it core team, inner circle, whatever you want to call it. You got to protect that, where the interest or the reason they are staying is not only money. I think it can't be just a monthly salary. If they're staying only for money, then you can't be protected from the impact which happens in the market outside. But you can't do it for everyone. You can't do it for, let's say, if you're a couple of hundred people, you can't do it for everyone. So the idea is that you got to. So the way we do it is, you have capability and capacity. So capability is something that is something that you got to protect. You can't lose capability. Capacity is something that you can play around with, and your processes, the way you build your ways of working, your capacity can go up and down, or you can build that capacity. If you have standardized a lot of ways of your working, then capacitizing may not be as difficult. And if you have core capability, then it's fairly manageable. And you also control the cost, by the way, that way. If you start treating everyone in the same manner, then it's impossible to control your costs and kind of protect everyone. So that's how we do it.
Yeah.
But another thing that, since the topic was seed to IPO, and we are also going through a similar stage now. So I think the type of talent and the quality of talent required in the firm changes. When you hit your first million, it's a different talent.
Yeah.
The moment you hit your 10 million, it's a different talent. And from there to IPO, or like whatever you want to call it, I think the amount of skill sets that you need at different stages of the company are very, very different. And the bigger challenge is, do the people those have really played very core role for you to get to 1 or 10 million, they become the bottlenecks for you to go beyond 10 million.
Well
How do you deal with that is a bigger problem, if you ask me.
Very well said.
Because how do you deal with people those have been your pillars for growth for these many years, but now all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but you realize that they are the ones with the bottlenecks now.
Yeah.
So what do you do at that stage is a bigger question, and which of course we don't know the answers.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Everybody deals with it in its own way. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
So, so first of all, talent again, very important. One of the services which we offer to our clients is we call it TCAS, transformational capability as a service, right? And the way we have cracked this puzzle is by investing it in over time, right? You can't just say, okay, I need a expert on X particular type of business. So what we have done is a number of different things. So first of all, there is a advisory team, right? For a startup community, it could be mentors, right? So identify people who can, like in your case, it could be people in deep tech or cybersecurity who can join you as an advisor. Now, what is their motivation to join? That is a different topic, right? But figure out a team of advisors. Second thing is identify experts. So we are always on the lookout for the right kind of people, the right caliber, with right transformation. People have worked with, SaaS companies, because we have, Kringle is here, Sandeep is here from Kringle. They are our partners, right? Now, obviously, Kringle has a capacity which they can do to deliver current projects, maybe, next 5-10 projects, right? Beyond that, Quintes will come in, right? Sure. So we get trained on our partner solutions, which are in great demand. We create capacity, and wherever needed, then we provide we augment that capacity, right? But I think when it comes to talent, I think the other important thing which Lalit touched on is the fact that how do you keep them motivated beyond money, right? So that's something which is, you can bring in good talent, but if you don't give them opportunity, then they will get bored and then they will leave, right? So that's very important.
Very interesting. So I think I can go on and on, but I think I'm very cognizant of the time. So thank you, gentlemen. It has been very insightful. So just to summarize, be sensitive.
Next we have Lalit. Subhasis.
सर इधर देखिए प्लीज प्लीज हाँ जी सर
Sandeep Nagpal.
थैंक यू